Hey guys, welcome to the Lucky Draw podcast. You got the Goldang Bros here. Sean and Tiger up top. Might be a little different on some other camera that they're on, but he's up top now. We also got
Okay.
a special guest here. We got Christian Solis. Just won the Puerto Rico special event, and he's going to join us talking some topics today. Um, Main thing is CP for Worlds is our biggest topic. When they came out with the new regulations, it wasn't a number. Instead, it was top X. For Masters, it's top 125. So as we've seen throughout the season, that number is growing. A number of players have won tournaments, including Christian up here who won the special event. And that affects everybody else below, such as Tiger over here, who's sitting at 125, right on the brink of top number. So I'm going to push it up to Tiger here to talk a little bit about how he's been preparing, being in the 125 area, and how he's going forward trying to push for Worlds.
Yeah, so I have day two, three of the events of I went to so far. I've only went to four out of this season. I played Charizard to Baltimore. I played a funny version. I played Mochizard. I played Thornpolt to Toronto, and I played Lugia to Puerto Rico. Luckily, I didn't run into CJ since he was playing Maridon. But even with that, I have two top 64s and a 128 this year, and I still don't feel like I'm really in the mix of points. I have almost 540 points sitting at the bottom of the 125, but I still have two more placements to get. We're predicting about 600 to 650, somewhere between that range being where you need to be. Now, unless you're somebody like CJ who won an event and doesn't have to worry about that anymore,
Yeah.
that's where we expect things to be. Now, CJ, where did you think World's points would be this year if you had to actually push for them past Puerto Rico?
I think they definitely would be well over 600 points. Like looking at everything, because there's like four more regionals left, and people are like pursuing being at the top of the list. They're gonna. I feel like it's gonna be around 600, 660. I
Okay.
feel like that's gonna be like that 125 cut. Like if you make 660, I feel like you're gonna be up there in like that 125 for sure.
Now, is that including the where so many players who have already like auto invites bump players down, or is that just going to be the natural 125?
Yeah, I do think that is including like, because like one the natural 125. I do think it's gonna be like up there in the 700s. I mean, four regionals and an AIC left. That's definitely a lot of points still on the table. Plus, a
Right.
lot of people that might not have played locals as much, they could like bring in a surprise. But that's 250 points that are left are also on the table.
Right.
So like there might be not a lot of people playing locals because they think they're doing well at regionals, and then they find out
Hmm.
they have to push a little bit more, and they play locals. You know?
Yeah, that makes sense. That there are a lot of these higher level players that don't do much locals, but when they get down to the end, they've got their five finishes, and they're like, all right, an extra 50 to 100 points from winning a couple cups could get them in the right spot. I could see that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, as a TO, we've all noticed some low league attendance with the new system. You know, a lot of players aren't traveling as much as they used to last year, which is coherent of the system. But with CJ's point right there, that might pick up for those players that haven't done it. So then we might see a lot more players hitting up the locals to finish up and cap up those points,
yeah,
bumping their
definitely,
ranking up, I should say.
definitely at the end. Like it happened here in Puerto Rico where everybody was playing like those last cups. They had a lot more attendance than the usual ones, right?
Hmm.
I feel like the first ones still have more attendance, but
Hmm.
they pretty much like set the record for where you're going like towards the season.
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely at the end that people like try to push.
That makes sense. Now, speaking of towards the end of the season and points and whatnot, how does it feel for you being back to back Puerto Ricans to win the SPE?
Back to back what?
that Jose Marrero won the Puerto Rico SPE last year, who was also a Puerto Rican native.
Uh, it feels great to win like SBE as a native because it's definitely like I've been trying for regionals a lot, but like winning it here, it's been crazy. Like all the people in the crowd were all people I know. I pretty much like know everyone from the Puerto Rican TCG community, and it was just like insane. Like I could hear everyone cheering once I like pulled the double turbo energy. It's just it's a crazy energy when it's like your local, it's like your home, and it does
Now,
feel
do you
great.
want to
I
walk
don't
us
know,
through that
huh?
last play where you got the double turbo? Because a lot of people saw it, but we didn't get a clear video of it.
Yeah,
Didn't get it clear. I invite you to check out Facebook because it's crazy. It's crazy. I had Boss, Iron Hands, and Electric Generator in hand, and I played the Iron Hands down. I bossed up his Greninja, and I played Generator for 2, and then I draw 3 from you, and the last card was the double turbo.
Sheesh. Now, would
That
you
was
have lost if you wouldn't have pulled that play off?
Yeah, I would have definitely lost. Cause like he played that match really well. Like props to Vincent. He played out of his mind. He made it really hard for me. He blew up my Raichu, which was my only chance to like blowing up his Arcaladon. So he was. I thought he had it himself. When I was doing restart for 3, I was like already like in my mind. I was like, okay, I got to finals. It's fine. It's 300 points. I probably will make it to Worlds if I push. That's that was my thought process at that
Yeah.
moment. But when I hit the double turbo, I went crazy. It
Yeah,
was
we saw the video of like the second hand of where everybody went nuts when you pulled the double
hmm
turbo.
Yeah,
But
everybody
yeah,
was
we
going.
didn't get a clear view of what it looked like.
Yeah, chairs flying everywhere. It was people were throwing chairs up
they're excited. I
like
mean,
being a local. It definitely feels good. I would have like if it were any one of the Puerto Ricans from the community sitting in the chair, I would have done the same thing.
Right.
I've been excited as well.
well, that kind of brings us into our next topic, being the next upcoming regional, Vancouver. I know many aren't going. It's kind of far for a lot of the bulk of players over here on our East Coast and Midwest. I'm traveling as a judge, so I'll be part of the team with Gaming Generations. So that'll be fun. I leave out on Friday morning. But what we've thought about it with our top five here, it's pretty simple. It's pretty close cut. Let me get my tablet fired back up. This thing's being stupid. All right,
Now, what
so
would you be playing to Vancouver if you were
yeah,
going?
there we go.
Me, if I were like playing Vancouver, I would definitely like play a Caledon. I feel
Okay,
like it's such a strong deck. It's easy to play, relatively easy, right? And it's just
definitely linear.
so strong, like overall. But like, it depends, like how the meta is moving forward, because Cloth won, so people definitely tend to prepare more for Cloth, and like I feel like one of Cloth's bad matchups is Lugia, so I feel like people
Hmm.
are gonna play Miraidon again. Like, might not want to sleep on Miraidon because I feel like it's gonna be coming back. I
That's
feel like Miraidon is the gatekeeper.
that is actually crazy
Yeah,
because
he's the gatekeeper.
most of the decks you just talked about fall into our top five. So going starting from the bottom up, feel like Maridon is right there on the
Yeah,
bottom.
yeah,
We see a down in Maridon coming up, but that brings Lugia to that fourth slot. Um, so those two are still battling, like you said, being the gatekeeper between
yeah,
that. And then our top three being Dragapult, Archaludon, and Cloth.
yep,
Archaludon, Cloth, interchangeable within those two. More so just outlining the top three decks, and Dragapult most definitely will be the most played deck in my opinion.
yeah. I completely agree with that. I
Yeah.
feel like Dra to me, Dragon Ball is like the best decking
I,
format.
I
Like,
agree. It may not have won, and Cloth may have donked it in that final in the IC there, but I still believe Polt is the better deck.
yeah, me too. I like it's just so strong. It's the spread damage. My hardest matchup in Puerto Rico was Dragapult. Like it wasn't a Caledon, it was Dragapult. Like if you see that top four, he made it really hard for me. Like it was also like a top deck situation. Like it was
Hmm.
hard. It was hard for sure.
That was Dragapult was our choices for Puerto Rico going in, and then we got there, and I was like, I just don't want to do 9 rounds of Dragapult mirrors because of it being the most played thing. So I was like, what beats Dragapult and has an okay matchup? I was like, Lugia. I will not see 3 Miraidons on day one, and I didn't see any on day one.
Awesome. Because I would have been scared to play Lugia. I also play Lugia. I play Lugia. I feel like I pretty play him pretty well. But yeah, it's I wouldn't have played Lugia. I would have been so scared of Miraidon because
Hmm.
like Azul winning Merida regionals, people go like, okay, it's a good deck, it's fast and it's consistent, so we're just gonna play Miraidon. A lot of people did hop on Miraidon.
I mean, I
Hmm.
was one of those people. I mean, I was always been a Maridon player. Kind of glad to see it win. I will say the secret box adds a whole nother level to that deck versus the prime catcher because you play it early, you really got to think. You don't have it or you play it late, then you're putting the pieces of that puzzle together. What do I need? What can I hit? Does this generator hit? A lot weighs heavy on those generators, that's for sure. You know that very well.
Yeah, yeah. You definitely gotta think for those generators. If you don't think correctly, you don't hit them and you just lose. Like if you don't hit your generators, you lose. You gotta hit your generators for at least one energy.
Okay.
And that's one thing that a lot of people overlook is that, like, yes, Miraidon is considered a brain dead big basic deck, but there's so much sequencing into getting correctly pulling out the cards to hit your generator to maximize your chance of getting an energy that people overlook.
Yeah. They usually overlook that, but that's like most of of the players, that's the most common mistake, like
Hmm.
sequencing is the most common mistake. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why you see like a difference like in Miraidon players where it's the sequencing because it's a basic mistake that people make. It's so common. It's not that easy.
Right. Yeah, that's why you have Miraidons at the top of the tables or the bottom. They weren't in the middle
No,
anywhere. They were
that
just the good
that's
For
players
sure.
were doing it right. The bad players were sitting at the bottom
For sure.
that's
For sure.
pretty
or
much
having
how it
bad
was.
days.
Yeah, well, I was bad days, bad players. I was down there, but it was still fun. But
Yeah.
it boils down to exactly like CJ said: sequencing, not doing things right, making small mistakes that detriment your game because you're just not able to get those cards that you were looking to get. I mean, one less card out of your deck is one more chance to get into that energy.
Yeah, yeah, and definitely like the sequencing, man. It's just a way of it's just too important. I played Miraidon Mirror match and it's always even. It doesn't matter who starts or who goes second, it's always even.
Mm-hmm.
He forgot to put Pikachu in front.
Mm,
So he went first and forgot to put Pikachu in front. So that cost him the whole match.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
a simple mistake like that. We had to work them right on matchup. I got a lot of practice at the several tournaments we went to while we were in Puerto Rico. A lot of Maridon matchups, so that way I could see how to do that. So I actually got to work that out. So kind of glad you pointed
Cool.
that one out.
Yeah, cool.
So moving
Now, one
on.
more big thing for
No, go
you.
ahead.
Uh, what we know you played Miraidon to EUIC. Did you just end up running it back? Did you have any changes you did? And would there
Now,
be anything you would change from going in if you were to do it again?
if I were to do it again, I would have played a Caledon because I thought about it, and Arcaladon was. I feel like it did have a good matchup if you did play that second black belt. If you play a second black belt and decide to go second, you're gonna have a better matchup against Miraidon because um oh wait. Yeah, if you decide to go second, you get two supporters. Like, 'cause you can research the first turn, and then on your next turn you can evolve and do black belt and like pop your his Iron Hands, which is the problem. Like if you don't pop Iron Hands first turn when he does amp you very much, that's where you're losing. So like I had the idea where I wanted to run the second black belt and play Arcaladon, but everybody was like, I have a team here, and
Hmm.
they all told me to run it back, and I listening to my team has gotten me
Of
places,
course, of course.
so why not do the same? I ran it back, and like everybody just recognized me, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of people recognizing me, and immediately they saw my name and were like, "You're going first." So it was tough, but I did have a lot of fun. I played I 0-3 by the way. I
Hey,
played
it
against
happens.
yeah, I played Arcaladon. That was the first Arcaladon I lost like in 3 weeks because I had my match. He was playing the second black belt. He had two black belts, and so I was right for sure. Um, Duradalon, I played against Cerulege with a Briar.
Mm.
Briar on Cerulege, strong.
Yes.
And the last one was against Steven, the one who top eighted at
Oh,
Puerto
Stephen Lowe.
Rico. Yeah, I think he got third at
Hmm.
Puerto Rico. We actually met at EUIC 02. So as soon as I saw him with look top eight from Puerto Rico, we're both 02.
Mm.
I don't feel that bad, you know. We're doing the same thing. We ran it back, and we got punished. Because
Yeah, funny thing about Steven, he actually is a control player. Like most of his points throughout his time playing has been off of block lags. He just was because I talked with him at Puerto Rico, that he was just like it's not a good time for it, and he's more of a control player. He just thought that Sarah Ledge had a good matchup spread and ran with it.
really, I didn't know that. I didn't know that he played control usually, but his style of play is definitely like control-ish. When I played
Yeah.
him, I could definitely tell.
Hmm. Well, I mean the brightest topic here has been our Chaladon, so we'll move on to that one and looking at how we think that goes into Vancouver. I agree, as we talked about earlier, about it being a very linear deck. I mean, the bridge is going to do bridge things. It's going
Yeah,
to evolve. It's going to put a bunch of the babies down. It's going to force you to do something about it, or they're going to get a lot of energies on the board really quick. I think there's reason to say the non-Dialga version is very strong too,
yeah.
in its own way. It's obviously just built different. But what do you guys think about it?
You wanna go first?
Sure. I think that the Dialga gives a uh, mechanic to the game that is well needed for our Chaladon, at least at this point. Once we move into the rotation, I think it's fine to lose it, but as of now, the Dialga gives it too much room to have a comeback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Taking it out of the deck, you have to be so on point with your pieces and hitting the second black belt or third, even if they're running it. Um, but most of them are playing pal pads, so they basically have a third anyway. But making sure they hit the pieces on point is just too important. If you whiff a turn of getting an attack off or the Turo and reset up, it has no comeback. There's no Thornton play to fix your okay, I'm behind, let me start Chronos and then just win. So it is strong, but I think in the current format, it's not the right way to play it.
like it's not the right way to play with the Dialga,
No, without the Dialga.
like without the Dialga. I feel like I just don't like the Dialga as much. I feel like it
Okay.
still fixes a lot of matchups, but I just I don't know. Like if I feel like it's hard sometimes to like evolve that second Archaludon, and you have to do that if you want to do Dialga V Star fast. But I mean, top eight EUIC had Dialga V Star,
Mm-hmm.
so I might just be wrong about that one, but it definitely fixes most of your matchups. Like it definitely fixes the Miraidon matchup too. I just feel like I just feel like it's easier for me as a Miraidon player. If you're playing the Dialga, I want to go like pick up that Dialga as quick as possible, and I feel like I still win that match if you play like a 1-1 Dialga. I feel like as a Miraidon player, I would still win that match.
Okay.
That
For
makes
me,
sense. Like being able to
yeah,
chase down the Dialga is important. It's the Thornton play that makes
Yeah,
the big difference.
yeah. I
for sure.
played.
If you're running the Thornton,
Yeah, one of our players in our league likes to play a lot of bridge, and I think this week at Insight, it was on Monday, I played one, and I'm playing Dango Bolt. So I mean, damage output is there, card draw is there. I have no issues. But he put a lot into getting that Dialga up. Wasn't able to take an extra prize because he couldn't boss anything up. So he hit into the Dango and then knocked out the Dango again. So he kind of used that V star. But then once I was able to knock that out, he had a hard time returning, and then I just got to where I had all the energies. Like it was definitely he still did right, and I just pulled enough to have both superiors in and be like, I can get 8 energies, so
yeah,
type deal.
yeah,
But that was my point on there is with the whole Dialga is he basically put his whole game into it, and then once it was gone, he had to really work to get back into that game. When I'm just sitting there like, okay, cool, draw, attack, your turn, and it's him sitting there trying to feverishly get things set up, which isn't a bad thing, but like I said, they put a lot of focus on that Dialga, and once it went down, no game plan left.
yeah. Hard.
Goldango's kind of a hard matchup for our child on to begin with,
Yeah,
though.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
100%.
you don't want something to knock you out anytime. Like that's what you want to do with our Caledon is survive.
hmm
Hmm.
All right, so then the one we haven't talked about really is Cloth. So obviously in that final game one donk, I kind of missed it. It was that quick. I
Really.
rewatched it, but I was watching it live. I think I went downstairs to get something and came back up, and I'm like, we're in game two already. Watched game two, it was great. Game three, I mean, you guys saw it. They didn't even get the chance to. Natalie didn't get a chance to play a card. What do we think Clough has going into Vancouver? Is it something to be worried about? Something people are going to tech for? We'll start with Tiger on this one.
Um, I think Cloth is still a pile. I think it's a good pile, but it's still a pile. There's so many pieces that have to be going correctly. Um, and in theory, Dragapult should still have a good matchup into it. Yes, it plays a black belt. It can get one Oko into a Dragapult. But if you just don't use your Dustin Wars and just swing a bunch of times with Dragapult, you should be fine because they can't KO that many of them.
CJ?
CJ, what
Yeah,
do you think?
I agree with you a lot. I've been playing yeah, I definitely agree. I've been playing Cloth myself. I've been testing out the deck because I want to like play it locally. I feel like locally over here it's gonna do well. And I was testing it out, and it's such a complicated deck. It is a pile, and it's not that hard. It's not that easy. Here's where skill. You need a lot of skill to play this deck. It's not
hmm
it's not an easy deck to play. So you it's definitely like very good players that you're gonna see in the top. Like the Japanese player from UIC, he was doing so well. Like he knew the math so well. He played so quick, and like he knocked out everything with poison, so she couldn't like draw with Fez, or like the other players couldn't draw with Fez. He knew he had every like you can tell that he put a lot of effort and a lot of games into that deck, and its skill is important to play that deck. Oh, and funny story, like I was there at EUIC. I missed game one because I was walking towards the stage. So when I got to the stage, I was like, "What? Didn't this just start?" So I missed
That's
game one
funny.
walking there.
That's the same thing. Like I said, I was watching, went downstairs, came back. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Little backstory on Ryuki Okada. He actually is like the grandfather of the Dragapult archetype because he won a regional earlier this year with Dragapult. He created the Dust Noir archetype, and I think that him having so much insight on how most people built Dragapult because they used his old style as a basis, it made sense for him to be the one to be able to counter it.
Yeah, for sure. Like he definitely looked so comfortable playing against Dragapult at finals.
Right. Yeah. The man is crazy good that he came out of his own circuit and has won two of our events, which is
Yeah.
easy. He says that it's easier to win our events than to try and make it the Worlds in Japan.
Really? That's crazy.
There's something over there, man. It is. All right, and then I did forget one. Lastly, Lugia. Last ride for Lugia, we saw it win in juniors. One of Tiger's students loves Lugia, actually top eighted in Puerto Rico with it. Do we think it has one last ride? Does somebody ride it to the top, maybe to the championship or top eight? What's your guys' prediction on Lugia? We'll start with CJ on this one.
Okay, I definitely think it might make top eight, but I don't think Lugia will take the whole thing.
Me neither.
I mean, yeah, it's just two good matchups that you have that are like the Dragapult matchup and the Cloth matchup. Because like Miraidon can beat you, Arcaludon can beat you, and there's just so many threats. I think that he might be able to make top eight because a lot of Dragapult players, but I just don't think they'll get like top four or finals.
Agreed. Tiger, what's your thoughts?
I agree with that. I think Lugia can skirt through with three or less bad matchups between Miraidon and Archaludon to get to the top area, somewhere between top 16, top 8. I definitely don't think Lugia is going to win this event just because of it's a smaller event, so the meta will be more condensed. Vancouver's always a little bit on the smaller side for the event.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, like I said, I agree with CJ that it'll be up there, but it's not winning the event. We're gonna get some meta either Dragapult or Archaludon is what I'm going to say will win this one.
Okay. I mean, and then also back to our previous point when we started the podcast, maybe some realize that, like you did, getting to Puerto Rico. Lugia may be able to get you there, but not finish it out. Maybe some people
Mm-hmm.
just need a placement. They're comfortable
For
with
sure.
Lugia. I mean, I've played Lugia to NAIC back in Columbus before I really started judging a lot more. And it was a group vote. It was consistent. I messed up a lot. I know that. But when it sets up, it's fine.
Yeah,
When you can
yeah,
get double chops out and you can get four energies each turn, it doesn't matter what they do, you're coming right back at them. All the tools
for
it got recently, it's only gotten better. But yeah, I do agree it will not finish the championship.
yeah. I heard someone here in Puerto Rico say Lugia is like playing Exodia. Like if you have all pieces, you got it. You got it.
100%. 100%. Lugia is Exodia.
Yeah.
If you can get double chops on turn 2, you just win the game.
Yeah, you just win for sure. But
I do think that it's going to be a safe pick. Like if you're just trying to get somewhere between 256 and 128 to secure some points in Vancouver, I think Lugia is a good play to do that. You will hit just enough good matchups to skirt into day 2 and get the points you want.
for sure, I was gonna say the same thing. It's Yeah, I mean it's gonna be a good safe pick, and I would definitely even recommend it. Like if you want like just like a good placing, yeah, just play Lugia because you're there's gonna be some stall over there also. I feel like there might be some like stall
hmm
because Miraidon is like still very good, and plus hitting all those Dragapults, you're gonna do 128 or 256 just fine.
100%.
All right. Well, that about covers Vancouver. Honestly, I'm excited to go out. I'm gonna see a different part of the city this time. Ink therapy time for this guy. So next time I'm on the podcast, I'll have a new tattoo to show off. Um,
Awesome.
but also new stuff coming out. Journey Together pre-release is coming out not this weekend, but next weekend. Make sure you visit your local store, check the locator, see who's running some pre-releases. with the way the market is, that's the best way for you to get a hold of these new cards and also play the game. Okay, so from a collector, player, Pokédad, judge, pre-releases are my jam. I love sealed. They're fun. Everybody's at a level playing field. And not to mention, you get a hold of a lot of the new cards before they hit the markets, and you can't get a hold of them. If you haven't noticed lately, a lot of the Pokemon cards, even back sets that we don't consider valuable, are being cleared out. So
Yes.
every chance you can, get a hold of it. Um, there are some cool new cards come out of it. We got trainer-specific Pokemon, which lead to some trainer-specific cards. Ents, Ionos, uh, the Darmanitan that goes into Ceruledge. That's one of the big ones a lot of people have talked about. Um, any that you've thought about there, Tiger? I know you're not really big into the new cards. I know that.
I don't think the trainers cards are as hype as everybody says they are. I think Lily's Clefairy is going to be the best card that comes out of the set. For anybody who doesn't know what Lily's Clefairy is, it's a 190 HP basic Pokemon, psychic type, that has the ability that takes dragons and gives them a psychic weakness. So you can turbo it out with one psychic, one colorless, and one shot a Dragapult for basically a mid sized bench on both sides. And that's going to put a big damper onto Dragapult that I think after rotation, it might fall down a step just because all these turbo decks can just be like, all right, cool, luminous energy, switch a grass energy from an ogre pond, call it a day.
What about you,
Yeah.
CJ? What new card you excited for?
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, brother. I I as a Miraidon player, I love Turbo decks, and Lily's Clefairy is the one I'm looking at. Like Lily's Clefairy, especially with a tool, you can make it a one
Mm-hmm.
prize. Sign me up. Like it's such a good. I feel like it's such a good deck. Really fast, hits hard, can be a one prizer. If you're not playing like the tower, you're not playing jamming tower, you're gonna have to knock it out for one prize, or it's gonna be killing everything for like
Mm-hmm.
so much damage. So I feel like it's one of the best cards. I know a lot of people are looking at Enzorg
Yes,
because
of
like
course.
trade, but you know what? I'm not Tor, so I still don't know how he does it because like I feel like you have like a damage cap over there with the whole like you counter, but you're gonna get killed by Lulu's Clefairy. I don't know. I don't like trade that much, but I don't know. I don't like Enzorg that much as I like Clefairy for sure.
Agreed. So correct me if I'm wrong, but Levincia Stadium is coming out, correct, in this one as well? So
Yeah.
Yep.
that's one I'm excited about because that can actually play in a bunch of different decks right now and also return two lightning energies. I'm a Goldango guy. We all know
Cool.
this. If I can find a way to squeak another 100 damage out of my discard every turn that stadium stays in play, I'm going to be happy with it. So that's one thing I'm
Yeah,
looking
we
forward
we're,
to.
we're getting a pseudo training court back for anybody who didn't play during the time of training court, which was just pull a basic energy out of your discard pile and put it into your hand. A lot of players at that point used it with Greninja. It was basically a Greninja fodder. You pull an energy out, Greninja it away. Next turn, pull an energy out, Greninja it away, and you had a pseudo draw engine.
Consistent +2.
Yep.
It was really
Exactly.
broken.
Like I said,
So
I'm looking at it as a consistent 100 in a Dango. I mean, as long as it's out there,
Right.
you can bring two back, and you're just like, all right, cool. So I don't have to count as hard. I think I was explaining to someone at League today, because they were talking about new cards, and I was like, that turns that superior from 4 to 6, and then a night stretcher makes it 7. If you got that attachment, you're really hitting some big numbers.
for sure. And for other decks, you can maybe even cut some energy, like
Mm-hmm.
put some energy, cut it out for the stadium, and you have like consistent energy from your discard pile.
There was people talking about using the Levincias in like Raging Bolt, where they were going to do the Iona's Belly Bolt
Mm-hmm.
and Raging Bolt, and they're just going to play straight lightning energies.
I heard
So
of
you get attachment for turn, plus Iona's Belly Bolt 2, and a Sada for 2 more. That's a 5 energy turn over every single turn.
yeah. Raging Ball is also a deck I looked at. I heard about that one. Fast, consistent, strong decks. all these turbo decks are gonna be a problem. That's why N Zorak doesn't make sense for me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Now you
that's
said you're looking at the Lily's Clefairy. Have you heard the name that people have been giving the Lily's Clefairy Ogerpon deck?
which one
It
is
the name that people are calling it, it's Lily's Mons and Ogre Pawns.
it? That's
I
so
thought
cool.
that was the greatest thing
That's
ever because we
hilarious.
just running around with a bunch of teal mask Ogre Pawns and
Yeah,
Lily's Clefairies.
yeah, for sure. I feel it's gonna be a great deck. It's gonna be
Yeah.
fun too. Like easy to play, easy for like new players that come in, which is also great. I'm really big on trying to make the community bigger. So I
Hmm.
always recommend easy to play decks. And like with Lily Clefairy's coming out, it's such an easy deck to like recommend for new players.
Agreed.
So a
100%.
couple last things before, because I know this is a little longer than we normally go.
Yeah, we're about done.
The tour deck that he played to the Champions League, the Walls deck, like the Milotic Cornerstone Mimikyu deck, and Atlanta. What do you think about the tour deck? What do you think about Walls? And what do you think will be? What would your choice be if you were going to Atlanta?
Like if I were going to Atlanta, I'm definitely playing Clefairy. I would definitely play Clefairy. I it's the same opinion. Like I don't think Ford's deck is like it's not. I don't feel like it's that great. I feel like a lot of people are gonna get ready for it now, like because a lot of people like
Yeah.
to copy towards list. So a lot of
Hmm.
people are gonna expect towards list, and they're gonna be ready for it, which is it is bound to happen. And for Wall, I think Wall is strong. I think Wall is good. We might even see it like up there. I think Wall is
Like on
pretty.
the meta chart for percentage
Yeah,
of players playing Wall.
not like percentage of players, but it might be like up there from like top 16 up.
I
Oh,
got you.
okay. So you think the
Conversion
better
wise.
players will be
It's gonna
playing
do
it up
well.
top?
Yeah, I think it's gonna do well
Gotcha.
for
All
sure.
right. Sean,
Well,
what do you think about that?
no, I agree. We've been working on the walls, and I think the deck I've been working on has ways around it. But of course, this man's been working ways to fight my ways around it. So we'll just keep going back and forth till we figure it out. That's the best thing about the bros here. But no, I think that's good. Honestly, we covered a good bit on this episode. Thank you again, CJ, for being our guest here.
Thank you
Really
for having
appreciate
me.
your company. Yeah, of course, man. We
Yeah.
definitely, me and Tiger talked about it. We are definitely coming back to Puerto Rico next year. Special event, regional, whatever it is. It was a great time,
We
so we'll
hope
be
that it
meeting
gets
up.
turned into an actual regional,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
I really
Karu Jose gets to make it into one. That would be amazing. We
yeah.
loved every minute of being in Puerto Rico. The food, the atmosphere, the beaches, the beautiful view that you get.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Like Puerto Rico's amazing. I've lived in on this island my whole life, and I'm not moving away.
Understandable.
I can see
Yeah,
why. I can
I
see
love Puerto
why.
Rico, and you guys like. I really hope they do make it a regional, so more people like are motivated to visit. If you guys are not motivated enough by these two guys talking about Puerto Rico like this, if it's still another SPE like next year, please come. Puerto Rico is fun. There's definitely a lot of things to do.
Hmm.
Come for a week, maybe even two. Like there's a lot of stuff to do. Like even on
That's what we
well,
did. We came for a week,
yeah,
and the other people that were with us went to the rainforest. Like it was. We got to listen to the coquis every night. Like it was
It
beautiful.
was it
yeah.
was amazing.
That's great. That's great. I'm so happy to hear that. I'm so happy to hear that. Really.
Well, on that
Even
note,
on the
oh,
west
go.
of the island, you got to visit the beaches on the west of the island. They're so much prettier and like a lot
Okay.
of food.
Okay, we will take that recommendation. We love Rex. Like I said, this is the whole podcast about sharing our adventures. When we go, we usually share them when we come back. So we will definitely take that into consideration for sure.
For sure.
But on that note, we're going to go ahead and sign off for this week's episode. Thank you guys for watching. Everybody out there, stay lucky.